Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. This is a startup lab or an AI lab where it is there to help founders build a successful, you know, MVP that truly addressed uh, users' needs, users' pain points. So it is not, you know, it is not like other uh low code no code platform. It is different, so it is there to support founders from ideas into a beautiful working MVP that addressed users pain point. So uh the idea of this lab is to, a lot of the time we founders struggle with a lot of things. It is not just about, building the MVP. There is a much deeper story, than just the surface, you know, the surface level one that we usually uh, talk about. So let me just give you or share with you uh, a just a simple, a very short story. When I was trying to build my first, uh, when I'm trying to build my first startup, I struggle with a lot of things, and I search through a bunch of tools, you know, that truly doesn't address my needs, but at least they provide some help. So most the things that I wished exist is that most of the time, for example, most of the time founders doesn't know, like, you know before, launching an app or building an MVP, you need to talk to a you need to talk to the users, and doesn't understand how important that is. It is truly important, and when you skip that steps, you know, when you skip uh, that first step, talking to your potential users, understand their core problems, unless maybe you experienced that you wanted to solve your own problem. But it doesn't make sense to just start building things without, you know going in, talks to the potential users, what they want, what is their pain point. This, you just come with an hypothesis, so you want to validate that whether it is true, whether it, worth your time. You need to understand what you are doing and the space you are putting yourself. It is not just, we fell in love mostly, especially with our MVP. We usually want to see, our app, we deploy our app, we wanted to see our MVP live, shows to people what we built. But a lot of the time you end up being disappointed, no user, no revenue, the just a bunch of no's, okay, a bunch of zeros. So Founder Labs is there to help founders, you know, um, to help founders just build something that truly address users' need, as I said, you know, that reduce the risks of, being disappointed. Okay. So majority of the startup failures, as you know, is just because of they build something that no one needs. It doesn't address anything. It doesn't solve the problems. Or they build something that no one wants. Okay? You build something just by imagining things. You build something no one wants it and no one is willing to pay. Even if there is people that truly want it most of the time, they are not willing to pay. So you want to build something that people want and also want to pay. And most of the time, you will, as I read something, you know, from I can't remember exactly the place, but a lot of the time you will, as a founder, you will do a lot of things that don't scare. Even after you launch your site, you need to go and talks to your users, show them what you built, and show them how to use that things. Okay, it is not just enough you build your site or you build your MVP, you build your app, now it is live, and you wish things or you start doing some advertisement. It doesn't make sense to just start spending money. you know so understanding you who are your users, who are they, where they are, and where to find them, so that after you finish talking to them, okay, so now when you come up with a working MVP, you already know where they are. You go there, show them your MVP, show them how to use, help them a bunch of work. Okay, so without too much talking, this is a founder lab where uh this is a demo mode. So I will just going to show you a there's just a bunch of mocks data. So there is, you know there is pure AI here. So a lot of the things here does not having to use AI, but just to show you what we are building. Okay, and I truly want your feedback. And if you find this truly interesting and it's something that you think you can contribute, and you know let's make our founders happy, and makes our world a better place. So let's assume you have an idea. So in this prompt, that's that is where you're going to put your idea. uh you have the visions, whatever you have. This is the place where you're going to put your idea. So after you put your idea, it will help you kind of strengthen your idea and spot some weaknesses, and also uh, in the background help you with some market research to help you, strengthen your problem statement. Okay, that's the stage one. Okay, and let's see that. Let's say we have an idea, and let's see what that is. Okay, let's say this is our prompt. Okay, we put into the AI prompt, and it says something like this: a localize, you just sit down, or you are, mechanics, or or maybe just an idea just come off, pop off, or you've been into a place where you observe those things. Okay, let's say you just think about, oh, there is a data, you just observed this: a localized roadside assistance are for transit drivers. You wanted to build a roadside assistance for transit drivers, long haul truckers, and bus operators stranded on unfamiliar. I'm just reading the prompts. Okay, so yeah, bus operators stranded on unfamiliar highways struggle to find trustworthy fast hair. So maybe you think, that most of the time they waste hours calling around, get overcharged by random toll operators, and lose income while waiting. Maybe uh, you are delivering a goods, put whatsoever, and your car, uh, you know, your car have got a problem on the road, and now you need a roadside assistance. And sometimes it gets, very long time to get help. And you think, you know, all of the solutions that exist, can I come up with a better solutions? So now that's your just hypothesis, that's your idea. So now this, most of the time, that's how ideas comes. It just come as a raw text. Okay, there is nothing, you know nothing vague, okay, to show. So now you put your idea on the front prompt, and then you run the prompt. On the background, it does some market research, and you go back and forth with the AI just now to simplify the steps. But there is different steps that took place in this step one. But now you end up with this refined problem statement: a long haul transit drivers, truckers, and bus operators experience unstructured, high anxiety breakdowns on unfamiliar highways where they lack trusted, fast, and transparent roadside assistance. So the problem is not health exists; it is that health is opaque, slow to coordinate, and financially predatory. Okay, so turning a 30-minute delay into a multi-hour income loss. We are solving for the moment of stranded helplessness, getting a vetted mechanics or tour operators to a stranded driver with a binding cord in under 20 minutes. Let's say this is the refined problem statement. Okay, and now when you compare this problem statement, the refined problem statement, with the one above here, the one that you put in a prompt, you can see there is you are going somewhere. Okay, you are going somewhere. So now, after refining your problem statement, now you understand your problem a little bit. So now the AI also helps you kind of see the kind of trying to critiques your your idea to see the big picture, not just being excited, fell in love with your idea. You also need to understand just the AI trying to keep you in balance to make sure that you are not over excited. Okay, you need to be excited, you need to love what you are doing, but also you need to keep yourself check in balance. So it point out these things like distributions, supply chain, liquidity, switching cost. And let me just read this phase one, which is critical. So distribution. So reaching drivers at the exact moment of breakdown is hard. We all know that. Okay. So we all know that when we got into a problem, we need an instant help. So when we didn't get help when we expect, a lot of most of the time we, even after we get help, we will we usually feel like a little bit disappointed, and it is not comparable to getting help instantly when we need. The excitement, the joy is unmatched. Okay, so we know that reaching our drivers at the exact moment of breakdown is hard. So they search Google in panic. They call phone as they make phone calls, several phone calls, how to get helps, friends, relatives, name it. So it is just a bunch of things. So when they get help at the exact moment that they need, you know, the joy is unmatched. Okay, so it is just trying to keep you in balance to make sure that you are not overexcited to see the big picture of your problem. All right, after that, let's move on to uh, step two. So now you understand your problem a little bit, or a little deep rather. So now you wanted to move on. So the next step is to help you set an interview questions so that um, you understand your users. You are not just building something that does not address anything. You want something that address FIFO needs. All right, let's move on. So now the beauty of this is that you doesn't need to kind of copy and paste things. It just pull, because the step are sequential. So you will not move to the next until you finish the previous. Sorry. Okay. So now it full the you know the refined versions of your problem statement and put it into the uh, prompt, and now it is time to generate interview guides. And let's do that. And now, as you can see, that we come up with a bunch of different uh, interview questions. Okay, not leading, not future questions, but you know past questions to understand our customers. Let me just read this about number one questions. There is a four questions here. I'll just read this just to help you have an idea or to just get some ideas what we are trying to build at Startup Lab. So tell me about the last time your truck broke down on the road. Walk me through exactly what happened from the moment you realized something was wrong. What happened? Take me through what happened. This is no, I'm not asking their opinion. I'm just asking them, and our conversations is going somewhere. I'm just asking them about the past, not the future. Let me just read the second one. So after you pulled over, what was the first thing you did to get help? Who did you call or look off? And how long did it take? These are fast questions. This is how interview questions are arranged. Now you start to see the big picture. So now this is just, sometimes you might ask some questions. So what are the things that you might look in your interview questions? These are some tips, you know, some tips to look on in your interview questions, like mention waited hours or no one show off, describe callings, you know did he mention calls, how many calls did he make before he gets help, all those kind of things. So now let's say you finish your interview. Now you transcribe your interview questions, just upload them here. All right, let's do this. As you can see now, three transcript loaded, ready to synthesized pain point. Okay, let's move to step 3. So now we for our interview questions, now it is time to synthesize. All right, as you can see, you doesn't need to copy and paste things. You just need to run, and let's do that. Yeah, so now we synthesize our interview questions, and now you start to have an idea to understand what is in the interview questions. And there is these are just a direct quotes from the interview you make. Big trophy, I sat on the shoulder for almost 4 hours total, so that you can go back and verify things. Okay, these are team clusters, emotional intensity. All right, you that's these are the things that uh thin point synthesis does. It just helps you visualize your interview. So after that, the next step is build blueprints, and let's see what that is. So now it for our thin point synthesis. Now it is time to generate MVP prompts. As you can see, the steps is sequential, step by step. Now we comes to the prompt uh, MVP prompt generations, and let's see what that is. Yeah. So just to be very fast, this is the product requirement document. All right. So instead of just writing a system prompt, now our system I mean MVP prompt. Now our MVP prompt is backed by data, and we know exactly what we are building. So after you just go through, read everything, now you understand the problem, you understand the solutions. Now the next step is for us to build our MVP, which is now it is building our MVP. Yeah, so we feel that. So now it says deploy to productions. When you click that, imagine you end up with something like this. Imagine for that. Sorry, let me just imagine you end up with with something like this, but you understand your problem, you do some work, and at the end you come off with a product with an MVP that truly addressed your users needs. Thank you. So if you have any feedback, please um feel free to let me know. Thank you so much.